All right, so we're driving in morning rush hour traffic. You know, one of the things that you want to make sure that you're doing when you're driving in this type of traffic, this type of environment, is that you are aware of the space around your vehicle. You want to make sure that you maintain a proper following distance. Now, obviously, we're going fairly slow here, but all the more reason for you to maintain a proper following distance. 2 to 4 seconds when you're driving. If you happen to stop, like I am right now, you want to make sure that you're able to see the back tires of the vehicle in front of you touching the surface of the ground. You're going to notice that cars are merging from the right. They're changing lanes from the left. You want to make sure that you're scanning your mirrors, or scanning left, scanning right, looking at your mirrors. You want to glance at your mirrors fairly often. If you can, you want to make sure that you are, again, aware of motorists that are changing lanes in front of you. If you notice, I'm in the middle lane. Part of the reason I like driving in the middle lane, in particular when I'm driving in rush hour traffic, be it in the morning or in the evening, or any rush hour traffic for that matter, is mainly because you're going to have a multi-lane road like this. Cars are going to be merging onto the highway from the right, and then you're going to have vehicles that are in the left lane that may realize that they've got to exit, or that they're in the wrong lane, or whatever the case may be. So you're going to have cars changing lanes into the middle, or rather merging on the highway from the right, and then exiting from the left. So again, I like to drive in the middle lane mainly because it allows me an option in the event that I have to make a maneuver, in the event that the vehicle in front of me stops and I have to have an exit route. At least I know I have two possible routes, one to the left and one to the right, in the event of an evasive maneuver. But again, you want to make sure that you're constantly scanning your mirrors, scanning the road left, scanning the road right, checking your mirrors. You do want to glance in your rear view fairly often. Under normal circumstances, if you're driving on a road that doesn't have a whole bunch of traffic, you'll glance in your rear view every 5 to 10 seconds. And that really is a matter of preference. If you're driving in rush hour traffic like this, you want to glance in your rear view a little bit more often, maybe every 2 to 3, 4 seconds. You want to make sure that you're keeping track of the vehicles behind you. And that's part of the dilemma. You can control your vehicle and the distance between you and the car in front of you. What you can't control are the cars in the left lane and the right lane and the vehicles behind you. This type of traffic, you tend to have a lot of tailgating, following too close. Most folks do not leave the appropriate amount of space between themselves and the vehicle in front of them or behind them. Next to them, you're going to notice that the space to the left, the space in front of us is closed. And so you want to make sure that you're super careful. Here you're going to have vehicles that are in the right lane that are going to exit. They're going to take that exit ramp. But all too often what happens is, in order for people to get past the traffic in the left and the center lane, what they'll do is they'll get in the right lane and then they'll cut across into the through lane. In other words, this lane that's going straight, either by accident, inadvertently, in other words, meaning that they don't know where they're going. For instance, the vehicle behind me, although you can't see him, just did that. However, it is a roadside assistance vehicle. It looks like they're going to pull over to the left to help the folks out that are stopped in the left shoulder. They must have been involved in some sort of a little fender bender. And yep, that's exactly what they did. So, you notice the wide shoulder on the right-hand side, that will eventually narrow. You'll notice the barriers to the right and to the left. So you'll want to make sure that you keep a proper following distance, check traffic behind you, in front of you, around you. Very important that you keep an appropriate gap. All too often what happens in these situations is you do have pile-ups. Now, the weather today is nice. You will notice that the sun, it's a little difficult to see because we're driving somewhat into the sun. But when you have inclement weather, these distances need to be increased. Now, again, one of the things you want to be aware of is that when you do keep a proper following gap, sometimes you're going to have vehicles that do change lanes in front of you. We're getting to an area where we're going to hit a little bit of traffic, and the term is bottleneck, traffic bottlenecks. In other words, it slows down because you have multiple lanes that are merging, or you have on-ramps or traffic flying over, what you call a flyover, from another direction that are merging in. So if you notice the vehicles on the right-hand side, you'll notice how we're going to slow down a little bit more. here as we approach these merge lanes. So you want to make sure that you're aware of the cars that are merging in, that are flying over, because what'll happen is they'll change lanes in order to get into through traffic. So just keep an eye for the traffic around you, behind you, next to you. Watch your speed. Make sure you're monitoring your speed. Even though it's 65 miles an hour on this road, I'm actually doing under 15. I'm doing about 14 miles an hour. And that's part of the deal when you're driving in rush hour traffic. You know, the important thing is, if you know that you're driving from point A to point B and traffic tends to get pretty heavy, it's always important to plan your route ahead of time. So, you know, you can either find alternate routes if you know that there's heavy traffic or congestion, or you can just leave a little bit earlier so you can, you know, you can get to your destination with plenty of time. It's always better to get there early than it is to be in a rush. Again, we have no control over this rush hour traffic. The only thing that you can't control is of course you and the time that you leave, the route that you're taking. I know that my morning commute tends to be pretty heavy, so I leave with plenty of time. You got to watch out for this white truck right here. It looks like they may or may not want to change lanes. Actually, the driver's on the phone looking at their cell phone, which is why they're slowing down and speeding up a little bit. You notice the gap increased a little bit here. And that'll happen where you have pockets, you know, where you have pockets where the traffic thins out a little bit, and then it'll get heavy again, and it thins out. See what I'm saying? So you got to watch out for cars like that. Although they did have their blinker on, I had to slow down a little bit to increase my following distance. So you have to make adjustments to the vehicles and traffic around you. Again, I'm staying in the center lane. I'm taking this road, traveling on it for about 10 or 12 miles. So I'm going to stay in the center lane to allow me to watch traffic a little bit easier, in my opinion. You want to make sure that you're looking at a distance too. Super important that you're looking ahead. Look through the cars in front of you. Right now I'm looking about 4 or 5 cars ahead, looking to the left, looking to the right, checking my rear view, checking my side view mirror. You want to be very aware of your surroundings. Notice again, we're going to slow down. So we're hitting another one of those spots where traffic slows down to a crawl, and you have to adjust your speed, your following distance. Make sure you have plenty of space around you. Notice I'm in the center of the center lane, so lane position is also really important. So these are a few things that you want to take into consideration.